are up.
Yep, we're selecting right now. Kamari Lassiter, cornerback out of Georgia. Okay, I'm not mad at it.
Is he pretty good?
Yeah. Oh, he come from Georgia. Shoot. Let
Yeah.
me look him up real quick. We're on the it's Kamari Lassiter. Okay. Played at Georgia, two-time national champion, of course. He was second team All SEC. Hmm. Well, I got home and I promptly ordered me a 10-piece from Wingstop.
I had Chinese.
Yeah, Chinese.
Yeah. I was like, I got home from work and I didn't want to cook anything. And I was like, I'm going to get the Chinese. And then I'm like, you know what? I ain't going to get the Chinese because I always get the same shit from the Chinese place. I'm going to get something else. And I kept looking. And then I was like, yeah, we're just going to get the fucking Chinese anyway. So that's what happened.
Ain't
But
nothing wrong with egg
everybody
rolls and
just,
wings.
everybody
But
just heard that conversation that was Jay and I discussing what we had having for dinner. Welcome to the next episode of the Gauntlet. It's just going to be us tonight. We got some guys out, and Dom and JJ aren't going to be here tonight. So thoughts are with both of them while they're doing their thing. But what's up, guys? Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Grizz is in the house.
Big
Yeah,
Riz.
see him over there in the comments, bro. What's up, man? So yeah, cue the music. Let's get the show started. Draft.
Absolutely.
Talk about the NFL draft tonight. We're going to talk about our sports moron. I have a sports moron, and I can't
Me
wait
too.
to do this one, man.
Dude,
Because I gotta tell you,
me
I
too.
gotta tell you, bro. I can't wait. I can't wait. Reggie Bush getting his Heisman Trophy back. I am really excited to talk about that too. And then we'll do pass the mic later on. But
Actually, no, you had a set topic you wanted to talk about. Remember?
oh, I'm gonna bring it up when we bring it up. But yeah,
Oh,
I really have been meaning to talk about the thing that I'm going to talk about, but we'll save that for later. And I'll be definitely looking forward to what your guys' thoughts are going to be. So we're going to just start with a couple of rapid fire topics. So we know this topic is probably going to come up during the draft discussion, but I still gotta ask, like, the Falcons took a quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., in the top 10 of the draft, the 8th overall pick, even though they signed Kirk Cousins to a $180 million contract. Are the Falcons, do they know what they're doing? Does that question?
Oh man, I'm so in between with that one because I had something to add. But while we bring it up the Falcons, I'll go ahead and bring it up now. So I don't know if you saw the headline, but apparently the Falcons general manager put out the report that Penix was going to sit 4 or 5 years. And listen, I don't want you or anybody else to take any stock into that, okay? He was just playing PR. It's classic PR because the report yesterday was that Kirk Cousins was surprised and shocked with the
I
pick.
would be too.
Yeah, and he apparently he didn't get let know of this until right when it was their selection. So it's safe to assume that he's not a favorite of the move. And so the general manager had to say something to calm him down and say, look, he's going to sit behind him for 4 or 5 years, and then Kirk's going to get all this playing time, and all that. Man, listen, ain't nobody sitting 4 or 5 years. I ain't never heard. Roger sat behind Favre for what, 2 or 3? And that was it.
Roger sat for a few years, yeah, but you
Yeah,
typically don't really see guys sitting that much in the league anymore. The league is just not like that. It's just like we draft a quarterback. Even if we already have an established quarterback at some point, he's probably going to play. Listen, I don't agree with the move, and it has nothing to do with Penix. I think Penix was good in everything last year, like second in the Heisman voting behind Jaden Daniels that went to the Commanders. But guess what? You signed this guy to a $180 million contract. Like, this guy is supposed to be the main focus of the team, at least for a time being. So if I'm going to draft a guy to be just have like a developmental quarterback behind him, that's fine. That's fine. You can do that, but not with the top 10 in the draft. I would have taken somebody that would help the team win right now. And then if Kirk happens to struggle, then what's going to happen? All the noise is going to be about put Penix in the game and all this stuff. It's going to be a controversy. It's going to be a distraction for the team. So I wasn't really a huge fan of it.
Yeah, and I can get that take, I think the way that I'm not saying I agree with it. I think how they looked at it was, now throwing $180 million at him. I'm telling you, Kirk Cousins got the best agent on the planet outside of Rich Paul. I don't know who this dude is, but he's getting homeboy paid. You know what I mean? But with that being said, I think the Falcons looked at it as, at the end of the day, he's a 35-year-old coming off an Achilles tear. How much longer does he really have? Now, some people might say Rodgers is 40 coming off the same. But is it fair to say that half of Rodgers is still better than Cousins?
That's fine, but if you feel that way about him and don't think he has much to offer, then why would you pay him $180 million? That's a lot of money to pay a guy that you're supposedly not that confident. So that's why I start to question, does the Atlanta Falcons really know what they're doing, or are they just like playing franchise mode on Madden and just like, oh yeah, let's just turn the salary cap off and let's just give whoever $180 million just because he's available? Like, it kind of doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that one. To answer the question, it sounds like they don't know what they're doing. Of course, we're going to have to let the season pan out. For all we know, and knock on wood, I'm not speaking this to existence, but if Cousins goes down again, they have somebody that they could, a first runner they can turn to.
That's a fair point, and we're probably going to cut it right here. But Atlanta could possibly win the NFC South because the NFC South is not very strong. It's probably them and the Buccaneers. So we'll have to see what's going to happen. So let's get on with it. Sports Morons of the Week, part of the show where we talk about the dumbest things in sports. John Shear covering the NFL draft for us in Detroit. I wish we were able to be with him, but that clip, as you guys know, is from last year at the draft when we had the episode of the Gauntlet. One of the best episodes ever that we've done. First one of the week. I actually have a clip, Jay, that I just added it before the show. So I want to play this clip, and then we're going to get into it.
Where is it?
Go to video clips, as if you're going to play the intro.
Uh-huh.
You should see it on there. 20 seconds.
Didn't show up. Did not show up.
Not seeing anything on there?
I'm only seeing the intros for the Gauntlet and Sports Moron.
Well, I could have sworn that I added it. But I guess I will just say there was a video clip of Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm telling you, first time I saw this clip, I busted out into laughter and I couldn't breathe. I actually couldn't breathe. You know how, sometimes you'll just be on social media and, the Reels and the TikToks and all that stuff, and, you just stumble upon something. So it was a video of Jerry Jones talking about the Cowboys draft and saying how, there's a reason why we're picking number 24 overall. It's because we're the 24th best team in the league. And I just was laughing so hard, man. The way that he said it was so confident. And I thought it was fake. I didn't think it was a real clip or anything. So I was because how people are doing AI with all these voiceovers and stuff, and you can take anybody's voice and make them say what you want. So I thought it was one of those, but when I found out it was real, Oh my God, Jerry! Like, oh man.
Yeah,
We're the 24th best team in the NFL. He was like so confident. Like, that was one of the best Jerry moments that I'm always gonna remember.
yeah, that I mean, for a guy who, is talking about how they're the best and this is their year and everything, and then all of a sudden they're the 24th best team. To be fair, if the Cowboys finish with like, I don't know, 6 wins, that may actually come into fruition and they'd be the 24th best team. But no, he's an idiot. We all know that he's an idiot. So, I mean, I know it made for a hilarious moment and everything, but it's par for the course. It's Jerry Jones. Like, were you really shocked by that, James? Were you really shocked that
he's kind of like Joe Biden? Like, if you watch any videos of Joe Biden, like he does the same thing. He's just old. His mind is not fully there, but it was just like pretty funny to me to see how confident he was, saying we were the 24th best team last year, so we got the 24th pick. Like, that's not how it works, bro. But
yeah. And for as many drafts as he's been in, as many times as we've seen him in the war room, and it's like, how do you go this far and you don't know how the draft works to even say something like that? I don't know. You know what? Let me go back to Bacon's comment. I think he might be on the money with something. You know what I mean?
No, I think he probably has it on some level. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that's really like kind of a, you don't really make light of that, but at the same time, it's like, God, dog, like, when do you take the mic away?
All the signs are there. All the signs are there.
Exactly. Like, y'all know he's seen out in the fool. Why do you still let this man grab a mic? Y'all, people let wealthy folks grab a mic and say anything entirely too much. Mm-hmm. Entirely too much. So, well, anyway, my sports moron on the week, sticking with the same team, is your favorite, JT, Micah Cooper. So, Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons. I'm watching TV, and
the guy that was crying.
I guess got Adrian Cooper.
Again, after he cried last year that the Eagles got Jalen Carter, he cried when they drafted the Mitchell guy from Toledo last night. So it's a tradition of the Eagles making Micah Parsons cry. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, with Micah Parsons, during the draft last night, he was having a conversation with CJ Stroud, and the question came up by the one conducting everything was who was the toughest division in football last year, and Micah Parsons was like, "Oh, we were the toughest division. NFC East, the toughest division in football." And CJ was like, "Bro, what are you talking about? The AFC North was the best division last year. Like, the AFC North, everybody saw it. It was like a half game to a game out from literally sending everybody to the postseason. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
So, with that being said,
the only thing that stopped it was Joe Burrow getting hurt.
He didn't.
The Bengals would have probably made it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so with that being said, CJ Stroud was like, "Yo, there's not a bad team in that division. Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. There's literally not a bad team in that division." No. And he tried to say, "Well, look at the Commanders and then look at the Giants and everything." Then he backtracked and tried to say,
based off of last year or this year.
He said last season. The question was last season, who was the toughest division in football?
We know what happened last year. Last year was, yes, 2 teams ultimately made the playoffs from the NFC East, but the Eagles were having a collapse, and the Cowboys kept getting in their way. So these 2 teams were just getting each other's ways and trying to, like, give the division to the other team, and ultimately ended up being the Cowboys.
What's up, Bacon?
The NFC East is usually not that good.
Yeah, and then after all this was pointed out, and CJ was like, "Yeah, you don't know what the hell you're talking about." Then Micah tries to backtrack and say, "Well, going into last season, we were the toughest division in football because look at the Giants and what Danny Jones did. That's how he got all this money. And you look at the Eagles and then us and everything." It's like, no, that was not the question. The question was last season, not going into last season. He knew exactly what the hell the guy meant by asking that, and he tried to sit up there and big up the NFC East like, it's a tougher division, and it's not. The AFC North, far and away, in my opinion,
I would probably give it to them.
Yeah.
I also think the AFC West will be relatively tough. I think the Chargers and the Raiders will both be better. But yeah, I wouldn't give it to the NFC East though.
I hear you. Well, welcome Tyler to the show. We are on the Sports Moron topic, as you can see. But however, I know you're watching the draft, so I gotta ask, what do you think about the recent selection, Edgerrin Cooper?
Yeah, I like it. We're really thin at linebacker, so I think that was a great pick. As far as Sports Moron goes, too, I was going to actually give Sports Moron to the Packer fan last night who put his head down with that pick. That was going viral. The guy with the cheese head and the Lions, like fans making fun of him and him putting his head down because last night was a need. The Packers filled a need. I kept saying for months and months and months they need to address the offensive line. You take an offensive lineman in the first round. I'm not disappointed with that. So, yeah, so far I'm happy. I'm happy with both picks. So.
Okay.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
All right. So we're going to move on to the next one. Yeah, there we go.
So Reggie Bush is getting reinstated with the Heisman Trophy. This was a lot of controversy around this over the years, especially with how NIL and all this stuff is happening now, and basically him getting the Heisman taken away from him was such a huge thing. My opinion about this subject is pretty simple. I really think it was over the top that they ever took his Heisman Trophy away. Like this is not a performance enhancing situation where people get Barry Bonds not getting in the Hall of Fame and all this type of stuff because he was using drugs, even though he was still getting a lot of hits before he was taking steroids. But that's another conversation. He wasn't really doing anything that I think was the punishment doesn't fit the crime, so to speak. So he was making money off his name. I really don't think that's enough to say, hey, you know what? You had one of the best college running backs of all time. You're a Heisman Trophy winner at USC. That's not really enough for me just because he was making a little bit of money to take his Heisman Trophy. I've always thought that it was a little bit ridiculous that they would do that. But I'm very happy for him that he's getting it back. He definitely deserves it. One of the best college football players of all time. So, yeah, I'm happy to see that he's getting the thing back. So that's great.
To a certain extent, is it fair to say that Reggie Bush was more of the fall guy? Because who left right when all of that shit started going on? Pete Carroll. I said it for years. Pete Carroll made out of anybody because he left USC, then went to the Seahawks and had a successful career with them and won a Super Bowl. To a certain extent, I think Reggie Bush was a fall guy, but I've also said this for years and years, man. How much money does, at the time, the BCS, how much money was the BCS pulling in every single year? Or shoot, we could even go to March Madness every single year. I mean, hell, even the College World Series, like, come on, man. Reggie Bush, so you mean to tell me if I see Reggie Bush out in public, I'm like, hey, man, nice game-winning touchdown. I'll tell you what, let me get your meal for you this evening. And he's at risk of getting his trophy taken because of that? Yeah. I have long said that the biggest prostitution ring in the United States was NCAA college sports. And y'all have seen why. These guys weren't getting anything. They're making millions off these guys' name, millions off these guys' likeness and what they do and what they bring to the field, bring to the table. Bush getting his Heisman Trophy taken away was overkill. And I agree with Snoop Dogg. If I was Reggie Bush, I'd have been like, what Heisman? Come get it. What Heisman? So yeah, I think it absolutely was overkill. I also think Reggie was the fall guy because it's quite possible the one that they really wanted was Pete Carroll, but he left. He jumped ship. So, but I'm glad he got it back. I've been rooting for him to get it back for years. Ever noticed that everybody had always acknowledged him as the 2005 5 Heisman Trophy winner, even though he got it taken away. Because he got it taken away at that time period, and people were saying, well, seeing as Vince Young finished second, the trophy should go to him. And Vince Young himself said, no, it shouldn't, because I didn't win it. You know?
Oh God! And people are really campaigning for that too. I don't see Vince Young. Vince Young didn't deserve the Heisman Trophy over Reggie Bush. I'm sorry, just keep it a buck. He got the, you know what I mean? Like that. That's crazy. As far as the Heisman Trophy go, I got some thoughts on it. If you look up the Heisman Memorial Trophy, known as the Heisman Trophy or the Heisman, it's awarded annually to the most outstanding player in college football. Winners optimize great ability combined with diligence, perseverance, and hard work. It never said it had anything to do with anything other than his performance on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. No one would have a problem with the rules as far as the rules goes if they were enforced across the board. So everyone that's saying that he broke the rules still, he's far from the only one that broke the rules. I mean, Johnny Manziel and Cam Newton being two of those examples. The NCAA turned a blind eye to both of them. So there's another thing to pinpoint. And I think the message from all of this is never stop fighting for what you believe in, never stop fighting for what is yours, and never stop fighting for what you deserve. So my hat's off to Reggie Bush, and I believe he has earned it, and that is his. So
that's definitely a great point, especially about Johnny and Cam and all of them. So you kind of wonder how many other guys were doing the same thing, and nobody really brought it up. So I'm glad that he got it back.
Yeah, and then also, I think it was around this time period that the ESPN 30 for 30 started circling around about SMU and the death penalty. Remember Eric Dickerson and the gold card that he was given, and then the house that and everything. And so I think it was the NCAA trying to send a message of some sort. Listen, you ain't gonna stop it here, okay? You're talking about a lot of these kids come from the inner city and don't have nothing, man. You know, and so they get a couple of bucks, you know, for going out there and doing a good job. Who's it to the NCAA? Y'all make millions of dollars of dollars off these dudes, man.
So what's next? Is Ohio State getting their national championship back?
I think they should. And then, speaking of Ohio State, Tyler, you remember when they nailed what's his first name? Pryor, the quarterback from Ohio State, him and a couple of others for like selling their rings or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm bringing up. This was when Jim Tressel was coaching them. And Terrell Pryor was part of it. That's why I'm bringing up. Yeah, they sold their rings and at the tattoo shop, and people that whole fiasco. So I'm saying, like, in light of this, you know what's happening, and I mean, you can look at it any way you want. Like, if people say he broke the rules, you know, that's fine. That's a fine take to have if you want to say that with Reggie Bush. But then it comes down to other things too. Like, now that the world is changing, you know, we have to reevaluate things. There are people locked up right now for marijuana in prison that shouldn't be. You know, that should be reevaluated. I know they may have broke the rules at the time, but what? We're just going to let them sit there and overpopulate, you know, the cells all for something that's so trivial in today's time.
Pretty much illegal in a lot of places now, too.
Yeah, it's super trivial now. So it's just that's how the world works. Unfortunately, like, you know, whether people think he doesn't deserve it or not, I think he does. I think he was the best player on the field. I don't really like when people are saying, well, Vince Young deserved it anyway. Vince Young got what he wanted at the end, but I don't think he was the Heisman Trophy winner. No, that was certainly Reggie Bush.
Yeah, and I mean, and back to the whole Terrell Pryor and company thing, because they got hit for selling their rings. Well, they won those rings. Those rings were their property. Yo, Lord forbid both your brothers fall on, Lord forbid both your brothers fall on hard times. But that's basically like if you was in need of something and you had like an award or something of yours, okay, and you sell it because you need the money. Then the cops come knock at your door and want to arrest you. Like,
well, and I mean,
it's my shit.
And I mean, it tainted Jim Tressel too at the time. Jim Tressel was a fantastic coach at Ohio State, a very winning coach, very good. And then it tainted his image. So then when Urban came in and they win a national championship, they kind of pushed everything to the side with Jim Tressel. And it's like, Jim Tressel is a very consistent winning coach at Ohio State. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Urban is also kind of overrated if you think about it.
They had an undefeated season and they couldn't even go to bowl season because
and I mean, what's funny though? What's funny is like Urban went and won, and you really look at him now and you think like, who's the bad person here? Jim Tressel or Urban Meyer? Like, who's the bad one? You know what I mean?
Every time Urban Meyer would go, like he did the same thing with Florida. Team was stacked, Tim Tebow and all that. They won a national championship. Then it started getting a little bit more difficult for him there. And then he was like, oh, I'm having health issues and all this stuff. Goes to Ohio State. Same thing happened. Oh, I'm having issues with this and that. And then he goes to the Jaguars, and it's just a disaster. And we pretty much haven't heard from him since. So if that doesn't tell the story of Urban Meyer, I don't know what else does.
Good point, Bacon, by the way. Meanwhile, rapists get like 5 years max. It's BS. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the justice system is really bad. It's really bad. But I guess we can move on, guys. Let's talk about the draft. Let's talk about what's happening last night, tonight, tomorrow. This whole weekend is about the draft. We've already pretty much been through free agency. The draft is the second big event of the offseason as teams start to try to like get their teams together. So let's just react mainly to the first round and everything last night. You know, a lot of these picks were interesting. So we can all just go around, and if there's any pick in the first round that really stood out to you, feel free to bring it up. I'll kick us off here, and I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs getting Xavier Worthy.
Boy.
I actually have said it on this show that that's who I thought the Chiefs should take if he's available. And pretty much
the Bills gave him away.
When the Rashee Rice thing happened, that's pretty much exactly what I said. I was like, look, this guy, they finally got a receiver that's worth something, which Rashee Rice was. His stupidity and all the stuff that he's done, besides, like, he's a good player. He stepped up for the Chiefs last year when their receivers were having a lot of problems. They're like, wow, they actually have one guy that's pretty decent. If they can keep him and, add some more receivers there, the Chiefs might have something going. But, of course, that happens. And then you get a guy from the University of Texas, one of the fastest receivers in the draft class, that broke the 40-yard dash. I know somebody breaks the 40-yard dash like every year, but I'm just saying, like, he's a fast, explosive guy. They signed Marquise Brown, who's also very fast. So the Chiefs' offense is looking explosive and fast, just like when they had Tyreek Hill. So I really like that pick by the Chiefs. And I'm surprised that I really think Buffalo probably could have taken him, since you don't really know what they're going to do without having a real number one receiver. Got rid of Diggs. And who are you really left with? Shakir and all these people. So I kind of wonder why the Bills didn't just stay there and take him. But Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs, that's one of my favorite moves in the first round.
You know, Xavier Worthy, because that was going to be my pick to talk about, but I'm going to talk about somebody else. But it's worth noting that because Xavier Worthy has the fastest 40 time now, the Chiefs legit picked up somebody faster than Tyreek Hill. Just so everybody knows. Just so everybody knows here. But the one that I'm going to talk about actually is going to be JD5. I really love that pick because JD5 is going to be the catalyst for the new beginning for the Washington Commanders.
I agree.
Because
they've had a hell of an offseason, to be honest.
They did. A couple of years. I mean, let's be real. Dealing with Dan Snyder, you know what I mean? And so Yeah, but definitely the offseason. But this right here, and then with the addition of Dan Quinn as their head coach, and they are in shape to turn things around. You're in a division where, well, you play the Eagles tough every single year. Find a way to sweep Dallas. The Giants really aren't looking at doing anything this year, but who knows? We thought they weren't going to do anything 2 years ago, and they made the postseason. Whatever. But I don't have them making the playoffs in 2024 for the record. But the Commanders are in shape. The Commanders should at least get 8 wins next season. They should at least get 8 wins.
They're a sneaky wild card team at this point. I think you can say that. I think you can say that now.
They can. I mean, it's fair to say a 10-win season is a huge, unexpected leap.
No, I think they could finish second. Because I actually don't think the Cowboys are that good. I think the Eagles obviously are. But the Cowboys, like, what have the Cowboys done to make themselves better? The Commanders have made moves to make themselves better. Now they have a franchise quarterback. The Cowboys have lost. They lost Dan Quinn. They lost a bunch of offensive linemen. They drafted the guy from Oklahoma in the first round. A lot of Cowboys fans didn't really like the pick. They thought they should have taken the center from Duke. They ended up going to the Buccaneers. So
it's honestly who I wanted.
The Cowboys have kind of gotten worse. The Eagles have gotten better, and the Commanders have gotten better. Yeah. So what am I missing in this equation?
The Cowboys didn't make no moves in the offseason because, everybody had been making these moves. The Texans, and we're going to talk about them in a minute. Everybody had been making all these moves. Everybody was checking for the Cowboys. Like, yo, where y'all at? What y'all doing? And then, it's been head scratch. But also, we just talked about it, Jim. We're talking about a guy who thinks that his team is the 24th best team in the league. And let him think that. The Dallas Cowboys are the 24th best team.
The Cowboys are all in, as Jerry Jones also said earlier in the offseason.
I'm gonna be surprising with a pick I liked last night, and I am gonna, because I take all my bias aside, and I am a realist person watching the NFL. So just so everyone knows, I am not this homer dude and who hates every team that who I dislike. But I'm gonna say this. Minnesota moving up and getting Dallas Turner was a great pick for them.
It was
a great pick. Yeah. He was such a value pick for them. We don't know what Minnesota's going to be. Obviously, they have questions. But when you have Brian Flores coaching that defense now and you add in a Turner on that team, that was a great pick for Minnesota. We don't know. We don't know what their offense is going to be like now with their quarterback situation, obviously. They still got Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones, of course. But regardless, getting somebody like that on defense is huge because Dallas Turner could be the defensive rookie of the year next season.
He could. They lost Danielle Hunter to free agency to Houston, and they immediately went out there and they replaced him. Great on them. Also, JJ McCarthy, not a bad look. The only thing is he's going to have to sling the rock a little bit more because at Michigan they were run heavy. You're not going to have Corum and Donovan running crazy, for 200 yards a game anymore. You got Jordan Addison, you got Justin Jefferson. You're going to have to get them boys the ball.
Well, and I also kind of like when that pick was made, when they got McCarthy, I was honestly kind of feeling bad for Aaron Jones because Aaron Jones has been injured, the past year, has missed some games. They've worked him pretty hard in Green Bay, and now you get JJ McCarthy in that system, maybe sitting a few games behind Sam Darnold. Maybe they do a quarterback camp to see who wins the starting job. But regardless, if JJ McCarthy is your quarterback, Aaron Jones might be getting worked to death in Minnesota. So,
no, I thought it was a great pick also by Minnesota. They got Dallas Turner because the way the board was going, this was the first draft in history that there was no defensive player that was taken in the top 10. I actually don't think. I think the first defensive player didn't come off the board until like
15.
It was Dallas Turner.
15, so
no, Latu was the first defensive.
Oh, it was Latu. My bad. I'm sorry. It was Latu.
it was pretty crazy, and that's why a lot of these guys slid down the board, and there was still good value in the 20s and stuff. Because everyone was taking quarterbacks, everyone was taking offensive linemen, and then that kind of affected the draft board. So I also think Dallas Turner is probably a top 10 talent in the draft. But he fell. So good on Minnesota.
Tyler, and James talked about how he didn't like the Penix pick. Was there a pick that you didn't like last night?
Yeah, so, and that's a good point. James has every right. See, the Penix pick shocked me, and I think they did it wrong. They should have let Cousins know. I always say, ever since Jordan Love was drafted with the Packers, you take a quarterback when you want a quarterback, not when you need a quarterback. That's the way the Packers kind of do things. So I totally get it, though. I mean, they had other needs. A pick that I disliked, I know people are going to kill me for this one, for saying this, but I honestly, it was Latu going to the Colts because of the value there, right? I think you get Dallas Turner if you're the Colts, or you go and you get a cornerback. Instead, you go get a guy who might not play football very long, who is coming over these heroics. They said that he might not play football a year ago ever again, and he has neck issues. I just think it's a big risk with Latu on the Colts. And I think when you're a team like the Colts, who I honestly think are an up-and-coming team, right? I thought they did a lot of nice things. I like their coaching staff. I like how the Colts are orchestrating things. I just think taking a big chance like that on Latu, where you could have got somewhere that you could feel a little bit more safe with. So that was a pick I disliked, honestly, in the first round. I just thought it was a little high for him, too. I thought he would be like the third or the fourth, maybe defensive player taken. Because you could have even said, what's-his-face, Murphy could have been the first defensive player if you didn't think Turner. Both great, tremendous talents. But, yeah, that would be a pick I disliked, honestly, last night. Second one, just to throw it out there, the second one, and this is going to be completely biased, it's Bo Nix. I don't like him. I don't think he's going to be good. I think he was the first quarterback to get his prostate exam before he actually worked out for the draft this year. I do not know what the Donkeys are doing. They don't have a second-round pick. That might be, and I mean this with all of my heart, that might be the worst-ran organization right now in the National Football League. Worse than the Panthers. I think what the Broncos are doing is sad, pathetic, and that team is going to lose a lot of football games this season.
Oh, man. So question for
let's
you.
Ride, or let's hide, whatever.
As far as the disdain, is it more for Bo Nix, the quarterback, or is it more the Broncos organization?
So, and I'm going to be back to being biased. I've had a lot of disdain for him since Terrell Davis ran it down our throats in that Super Bowl. But regardless, no, it's how they're running an organization. You trade all those picks, you get rid of Russell Wilson, you pay off all this money. You paid off all this money to bring in Zach Wilson and draft Bo Nix when you don't have a second-round pick because you wasted it on Sean Payton? Like, what the hell are they doing? I mean it. What the hell are they doing? They're just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks at this point. And it's pathetic, man.
Yeah.
Yo, he using violence tonight, man. Yeah, I did, but you know what? Y'all have heard me say this, and Tyler, I'm sure you'll agree. In a way, you feel bad for Bo Nix because Peyton about to get doubly exposed now. You know, especially if Russell Wilson goes to the Steelers and has a decent year or a more than decent year.
I'll be honest. The only one I feel bad for on that team is Patrick Surtain at this point. Yeah. That's the only one I feel bad for.
He gonna ask to leave.
He probably is gonna leave because he's on the last year of his rookie contract.
Oh yeah, he threw. He might be coming to y'all, James.
I mean, everybody wants to come apparently.
Well, I mean, I even talked to Dordo about this.
we were talking about, and Jordan was like, they got some nice pieces. They got Tim Patrick, and I said, Tim Patrick, the guy who tore his I said, the guy who tore his MCL 2 years ago and then tore his Achilles last year. We don't know if this man even has 2 legs.
The guy that has 2 first names.
Yeah. Tim Patrick. Jeez. We're talking about Tiny Tim out here.
Right? Bad. Oh, James, you want to move, man?
Yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps it up. But NFL drafts are really the last big event of the offseason. We're going to get closer to the season, closer to training camp. So excited to see how these teams are going to shape up and who's really going to be prime contenders next year for the Super Bowl. But yeah, let's move on. The Houston Texans won the division last season. They've made some big splashes in the offseason. They signed Stephon Diggs. They went out and got Joe Mixon as well. So they're putting more weapons and stuff around CJ, where they already had more weapons. They already had Nico Collins, who had a great season, and Tank Dell, who was balling, and then he got injured late in the season. But this is a great team. This is a great team. And when you look at the AFC as a whole, there's a lot of good teams in AFC. Right. But you got to tell yourself, if there's a quarterback in a team that you think you trust to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, there's 3 main guys that I would say. Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, and Aaron Rodgers. Those are the main 3 guys that I could see doing it. And when you have that, you are an extremely dangerous team. So I'm expecting more CJ to be better. The team is better. They have more players around him. So I think it's going to be a dangerous team. The only concern that I have is I need Stephon Diggs to be a team player. Because there's a lot of good players on this team. I don't want to hear anything about targets. I don't want to hear anything about give me the ball and all this stuff. Just do the role that you have and help the team win. And I think this team can be extremely successful.
Yep, absolutely. The from our discussion a couple of weeks ago, Stephon Diggs is on a 1 year. So if it doesn't work out, we can let him go. If it works out, we can re-sign him. Expectations are going to be more, definitely higher. You're dealing with a quarterback in the league that people are already deeming a top 10, some are top 5, and for others,
dark horse to win MVP. I mean,
and we do have quite the schedule next season. We travel to Dallas. We actually travel to Arrowhead. So Stroud versus Mahomes will happen. It's loading up because you mentioned it, James, and I'm sure you agree, Tyler. The AFC more loaded than the NFC, so you have to stack up. And Micah Parsons said so last night. He was like, "Yo, the Texans are souped up." Well, we had no choice. You look who's on the other side. You look at Mahomes and Burrow and Josh Allen and kid out of Lamar and kid out of LA, Herbert. So you have to make moves to get better. Nick Caserio has been the unsung hero of the postseason. Of the offseason. If not the number 1, easily in the top 3 as far as making moves. He's been on absolute demon time. Because just when you see, okay, they signed Mixon. Oh, man, good pickup. Oh, they signed Danielle Hunter. Wow. They got Isaiah from the 49ers. Oh, they got... And it's just like he just kept signing. And we had like a $70 million cap. Oh, man. He's been making awesome moves. We we got a revenge against the Browns, number 1. And then number 2, we just ran into a team on a mission, But this is what we have to do, is we can't just look like this on paper. We have to beat the Ravens of the world. We have to beat the Chiefs of the world. On top of that, we got to beat these guys in the postseason, too. So I'm definitely.
You might have to beat the Steelers of the world at this point, the way their offseason has been, too. I mean, Steelers right in that mix, too, now.
Yeah,
You're going
absolutely.
to have to go to get to the Super Bowl. You're going to have to go through a combination of any of the guys that you name. You're going to have to go through probably at least 3 of Burrow, Mahomes, Rodgers, Josh Allen, Lamar. So you're not only going to have to beat one of them, you're going to have to beat multiple of them.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So it is extremely hard.
It is. It is. The degree of difficulty is insane. But not like it can't be. I mean, we saw Burrow. Let's see. Well, I'm not gonna mention Tannehill, but he did knock out Mahomes in Arrowhead, which is no easy feat. Then the next game, he was literally one play away from winning the Super Bowl. Josh Allen.
Yep.
I mean, talk about his turnovers. True, but the guy puts up. The guy's a scoring machine. He can light you up at any time. Josh Allen can have he can lose the game but still have a great game. There's always that threat up there in Buffalo. But with CJ Stroud, and the team really trusts CJ Stroud. You have people who are coming to the team wanting to play with CJ Stroud that have had years in the league. And they just kind of see that in him. Everyone sees it in him. H-Town's proud of him. He the new hero around here, and just a genuinely good guy all around. I was fortunate to fist bump him in passing at Radio Row. Humble dude. He goes about 6'2.5", 6'3". He's probably all of 6'2.5", 6'3". But great guy all around. A guy that's a workaholic and always looking to refine his craft and such. Definitely, like Tyler said, dark horse MVP. I think he will see an MVP in his career. But as far as 2024, let's see what happens. Tyler, what you got?
Yeah, so that was well said by both of you. I'm kind of along the same lines with this. For one, they're the new heroes of Houston right now. I mean, they have more wins than the Houston Astros do a month into the season. I'm just kidding with you, Jay.
You're not lying. You're not lying. And congrats to the Cubs.
Thank you. Got out
we'll talk about that on Wednesday. Confidential, y'all tune in.
Got out the brooms and everything. It was nice. No, I think. I relate a lot to the Texans because I really think that the Texans and the Packers are kind of similar. One's just in the AFC and one's in the NFC.
Yeah.
And I know that Jordan Love might not get, he wasn't Rookie of the Year. He doesn't have all these accolades like that. But well-coached team, right? I think DeMeco Ryans, I think Matt LaFleur. I think you look at where CJ could be. CJ could be an MVP one day. I think Jordan could be an MVP one day. I think both of them are kind of like dark horse contenders to win the whole thing. I think they're both contending teams. I love what the Texans have done. I think it was huge the way that they kept at it with adding in this offseason, adding players. They're going to get those guys back. And I think another thing is that we look at coaching in the National Football League now. We look at, the only question I have right now with the Houston Texans, honestly, is the same one that I have with the Lions. It's how do you handle being the hunted, right? Yeah. It's unknown territory. Like Dom always says, the Lions are this, Lions are that. And I always say, I think they're a good team, but I don't know what they're going to do when everyone's hunting them. We don't know if Dan Gamble is going to, keep figuring it out and that kind of style of play. But with Coach Ryans, it's different because Coach Ryans is more of a tactical-minded coach. He's not rolling the dice all the time. He puts his best players, in the right positions. You have the offensive and defensive Rookie of the Year on your team from last season. And then you add Diggs, and then you add Mixon. I think the world of Nico Collins. I think Nico Collins is a phenomenal player. Tank Dell, if he didn't get injured last season, we don't know where they are. Schultz is a reliable tight end option. I think the Texans are on the right track. I think they are dark horse. And I always say with rookie quarterbacks, or let's not even call it rookie quarterbacks. Let's talk about when you're a first year starter.
First year
right?
starters. Okay.
We'll just call it that because teams do things different, But let's say usually that third year, right? That third year into your starting season is when you see guys rise to the level of being in the Super Bowl, in contention, in MVP talks. So Stroud's probably got maybe a season away from that, but he's right there. And I think CJ Stroud will be an MVP before his career is over. I absolutely think that.
The Packers and the Texans, they absolutely are very similar. And you know what? To your point, to two of your points. Number one, that last 4 or 5 weeks of the season, the Packers were low-key the hottest team in the NFL because they were behind and they had to win so many to even get to the wild card. And that's the first one. And then the second one, it's about having to, respond to being the hunted. That worked out wonders for the Packers because for so long y'all had Aaron Rodgers, and he's a generational talent. It helps having a generational talent. Now, do I think Stroud's a generational talent? Absolutely. Just from what we've seen, TD to INT ratio, third most passing yards for a rookie in NFL history. I think he absolutely is a generational talent. Now we just have to see more of him from years to come. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you on all your points. JT,
the only difference really with the Packers and the Texans is that the Texans are the hunted in the South, and the Packers are kind of hunting the Lions. Even though I don't consider it that, because the last time we played the Lions, the last time I know, they had the worst Thanksgiving of all time. So I don't really consider it that personally. I think we're the same team in a way, same level. But that's the only difference I can see is that the Texans are going to be the hunted in the South. And yeah, the Colts are a good team. We'll see what the Jaguars do. They're spending. I'll say that. But that's the only really differences I can see. But yeah.
The Texans have completely changed themselves as an organization. They got rid of all the people in the organization that were clowns, that were full of shit. They got rid of people like Bill O'Brien. You had the ownership and all these people saying stuff about how NFL players, you can't have slaves running the plant. I really used to think the Texans were one of the worst organizations in sports. Getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins, the whole 9 yards, really. But they've done a 180. They got a new quarterback, new coach.
In sports, even more than the Charlotte Hornets. No,
everything is new and fresh with them, and it's like a breath of fresh air. So I think that they should still be the favorite to win the AFC South, at least.
Oh yeah,
because I don't think Jacksonville.
I think Indianapolis is probably the second best
better. Indianapolis, I think, is still going to be good. I mean, they were literally only a couple plays from beating the Texans and possibly.
I mean, the one thing, and I know we're talking about the Texans, but the one thing I want to give a little credit to the Colts that I was dead wrong on is I didn't know Anthony Richardson was like that. To be honest, before he got injured, Anthony Richardson was looking pretty promising.
He was looking good. Colts. He was, and shout out to Shane Stay. He got them boys playing ball out there in Indy. So I think it's going to be out of us. I think it's going to be out of the Colts and the Texans next season. Of course, I got the Texans winning. As of right now, I got them at 11 wins. But of course,
I think it'll probably be the same. But yeah, it'll be.
I agree. It's going to be hard to get a wild card too when you got that littered AFC North. So.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. So that brings us to the end of the sports talk and into the non-sports topic, where we're going to pass the microphone around.
Oh, I got the wrong headline, but just pass
Oh, no, I was still going to do that. But yes, this was the question that I wanted to ask. And Tyler, you have a little girl. I see this a lot more. And every time I see parents that has their kids on a leash, in a store, it just makes me sad, to see people are treating little kids like they're animals. So it makes me so upset, because if you really can't be a responsible adult to watch your kids while you're going.
Yeah, bacon. We see it all the time. You don't see it?
You shouldn't even be taking them to the store. Take them somewhere. Get a family member or somebody that you trust. Hey, I gotta run to the store and do this. Can you please watch my kids for me? Sure. You know what? Like this, it just makes me so sad to see like kids treated like this. I'm like, put on a leash. It makes me sick every time I see it, and I don't even have kids, but I hate seeing stuff like this. Like it's so disgusting to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have a 2-year-old next month. She'll be 2, but yeah, it's lazy parenting is what I think it is personally. And I know there's been some situations and freak accidents in which I don't wish that on anyone. For example, the Cincinnati Zoo years ago with the kid that got in the gorilla enclosure.
Yeah.
That was a situation in which there was multiple kids they had, and one of the kids got away and got in the gorilla enclosure, and they had to put the gorilla down. And I remember getting in a heated debate with someone because they said, "Oh, they shouldn't have had to kill the gorilla. The gorilla don't know any better." But at the same time, I was thinking, yeah, but that's a human being that died, and I would never wish that on any parent in the entire world, whether I like them or don't like them. But that was a situation in which they didn't have a leash, but like, let's say they did at that time, I could kind of understand a situation like that. But like, to your point, James, the parents that I see doing it are like 1 kid, 2 kids families at the grocery store when it's just lazy parenting. It's put your kid in the cart, have your kid sit up there. If your kid is bored, you give them a toy to play with. I mean, one trick I do is if I go to like Target, for example, with my wife or something, I'll go and pick a random toy in the toy aisle, and I'll give it to Everly. It'll keep her entertained the entire time while we're shopping. You know, I think there's a lot of lazy parents in society, and it's unfortunate with this world. I know in Florida last year, a kid got out in the water, and obviously you're on the beach, so this really don't pertain to a leash and why it would come in effective or anything. But a kid got out in the water, and a gator got the kid. Yeah, it was scary. And once again, I don't wish that on anyone, not even my worst enemies. I hate seeing children die. It's something that makes me teary-eyed because I couldn't even imagine. I don't know what I would do without my little girl personally. Yeah, I think it's lazy parenting. Like I said, it just keeps coming back to that. I think if you're a good parent and you keep an eye on your kid, there's no need to put your kid and walk it around like it's a dog or something, you know. So,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like they're kids. They're not, pet dogs or anything. And you're right. It is lazy parenting. And I mean, I don't, have any kids yet, but I can say that because, I know coming up, we didn't need no damn leash, okay? Like, our people put the fear of God in us. Run off if you want to. I will skin you alive. We didn't move.
The only situation, like I told you guys, is the grill enclosure one, but I kind of blame the zoo more than anything, right? I don't blame people are saying the gorilla shouldn't have died, but it's like, what about the zookeepers that made an enclosure that accessible for people that are visiting the zoo? That's really sketchy. Yeah. That's something that shouldn't happen, especially an animal like a gorilla. We're not talking about a prairie dog. We're talking about a gorilla. So.
Yeah, and that's another thing to keep in mind. Also, is it's not like the animal was rabid. People have to keep in mind that when you have animals like lions, tigers, gorillas, hyenas, anything like that, it doesn't matter what comes near it. If it deems you a threat, it's going to attack you. It's going to act like it is.
I mean,
it's going to act like it is.
I mean, and JJ and me have talked about this a lot. We have Florida Panthers around here. We have alligators around here. We have a Florida Panther that was spotted in my neighborhood that I could show you guys the post last night. You know,
Oh, I gotta see this. Oh,
yeah,
man.
and I'll show you guys it after the show. That you have to be on guard. If you're not on guard and you're walking your kid around or something, or God forbid your dog, you know, a Rottweiler ain't gonna fight off a Florida Panther. I don't care how big your dog is, you know.
I'm gonna stay in the north.
Yeah, Florida Panthers are scary, man. So
You got it. You got that.
You might have to worry about the occasional subway incident, but y'all ain't fighting bobcats and rattlesnakes and man, it's more.
I will take my
every animal in Africa is in the south.
There's some scary animals down here, man. There's some scary animals.
I will take my chances versus a Philly crackhead versus a Florida Panther any day.
Yeah.
There you go.
Agreed. I'd rather get shanked than get eaten from a panther or an alligator or something, man. Like, geez. You ain't fighting back at that point. What do you do? You're gonna punch it? What do you like? That ain't gonna help.
Nature is scary, man.
Mike Tyson couldn't knock out a Florida Panther. Like, yeah, it's impossible. Like, I don't care what skills you have.
Yeah. Animals are animals for a reason. Who you passing the mic to, James?
Whoever. Whichever one you guys has something.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Ooh. Okay. Let's go hottest costumes. Like, what do you guys like in women? Like when they're let's say cosplay, Halloween, anything like that. What are the hottest costumes to you?
The hottest costumes?
Yeah. Man,
Come on,
you know what? I'm gonna keep it real with you, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like, I wouldn't participate in this shit because, like, I don't do the whole sex slave bullshit or whatever. Obviously, me and slave don't go hand in hand. But with that being said, no, I love the dominatrix look. I just do.
Okay.
The leather clad, man, the high heels and all that.
That BDSM, huh?
Yeah, that and the gothic look. I don't know. I've always had. I don't know. I think this is like high school. I kind of had a thing for the gothic look. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, not no devil worshiping shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, like she a little thick.
But you're okay if she's pouring a little candle wax on you, right?
I mean, how much am I getting paid? I mean, I don't know about all that, man.
And she's like, have you been a bad boy?
I'm like, I'm not bad enough for this candle, man. That's going too far.
She gets out the ball and the gag.
Yeah. What's the safe word? Yeah, those are about two, man. Well, what you got, James?
I'm gonna say something basic, but like a nurse. Like, you ever go to the hospital and then like they're wearing those pants and then you're like, damn, like.
Nah, he got a point. Cause I done seen some dickies rock some smocks.
I seen a nurse and I kept looking at her ass, bro, but I kept like looking away and I would like look back. So
yeah,
I don't know, bro. It's something about the pants, the scrubs or whatever. Like,
yeah, for me it would be like anything with like a spandex look to it, right? So like when I was in high school, I was like, everyone was talking about the cheerleaders. I was like, nah, I want to look at the volleyball players. You know, that was the way. That was the way I rolled in high school. I was an ass man. Always have been. Always will be. Gonna be for the rest of my life. So. It's something that I tell my wife Cassie all the time. I'm like, let's see how the ass is looking today. I get in there. I'm dirty when it comes to that.
I hope y'all just as freaky at 75 years old. But yeah,
eat the booty like groceries.
Like groceries, like yeah. I'll get all up in there. Yo, so you dig the Catwoman joint, like Michelle Pfeiffer and Batman Returns and all that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Listen,
Okay.
spandex, man. Spandex is where it's
Spandex,
at.
Spandex, Nurse, and Dominatrix.
Yeah,
Three
look at us, freaky.
very different things.
No, but we got legit reasons though. You know what I'm
I
saying?
know.
Like,
Very different
Shame
things.
on Dom and JJ for not being here for tonight's
JJ
pass
will
the
say some
mic.
weird shit.
So I'm gonna pass the mic to you, Jay. You're gonna finish this off.
all right.
Try and follow that.
Yeah, I know, right? I'll go back to the music. I actually didn't know. It was gonna be a
Okay.
fast
Yeah,
night.
Miss is incredible. There you go, Bacon. Now we're talking. See, that's why I'm talking.
Hold on, what did it say? Miss it.
Mrs.
Yeah, see,
Incredible. From,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good costume right
Man,
there.
that's a real. She got a lap dance style ass, man. If I was a cartoon, I'd definitely be knocking that
I don't know why these Disney people make these Disney moms with these dump truck asses. Like, this is supposed to be for kids, bro.
down. Now we see where the BBL movement came from.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna. Back to the music, and again, because I didn't think this was a pass.
I might have to turn that on after this draft. You know, watch the Incredibles.
Hey, keep it in your pants. Like, only all that. Only all that.
Friday night, I got the Incredibles on.
Cassie must not be in the house.
She is.
Honey,
She's laughing.
Where is my super suit?
Okay, breathe.
Okay. What's the question? What's the question?
All right. What was the one album you listened to that turns you on to hip hop permanently from way back then? And the reason why?
For me, it's gonna be a little different, but Graduation for Kanye.
Okay, good pick.
The reason there's so many great songs on there.
That's my favorite Kanye album.
It really
Graduation?
Yeah.
No, I really think it shows you like his skill level and his versatility. My favorite song is Can't Tell Me Nothing. La la la, wait till I get my money right.
Yes.
I'll listen to that song on repeat.
That whole album.
But yeah, bro, Graduation, like that was one of my favorite albums of all time.
Okay. Now,
Late Registration was my second, but honestly, like Graduation was my favorite Kanye album, and College Dropout's probably third for me. But
ooh, I actually had it in reverse. I had College Dropout, Graduation, then Late Registration.
Those are the three best, though. Like, I don't really care what way you argue it. Those are the three best. When it was like My Beautiful Dark Twisted and 808s and all that, that's when it all 808s is kind of when it went downhill for me personally. Hip hop, rap, probably Speaker Box when I think about it.
Good pick.
That was probably what got me into it. Although when I was younger, and I was really, really, really into Nelly for a while. So Country Grammar was a huge album for me too. But what got me into rap, I would say, was Speaker Box. And that's not even my favorite Outkast album. That was just the first album that I heard from Outkast. And then I started liking, ATL and all and everything from them. But Stankonia, all that. But yeah, Speaker Box would be mine.
Okay. All right then.
And he's my favorite rap lyricist of all time. Is Andre. I'm a big Andre guy. I know what he's doing now is kind of whatever, to a lot of people. But like as a lyricist, I love his lyrics. I love Andre. So
yeah, just his whole style, But shout out to Nate Anderson because me and him actually had a back and forth one time. He said Big Boy was his lyrical equal. I could see on some songs, but overall,
I love Big Boy, but I think it's Andre. No.
Yeah, it's Andre for me too. I would say mine is probably well, shout out to, it's been a while since we had him on the show. We got to bring him back. My cousin Jock. I was listening to his records way back when, and he had the NWA Straight Outta Compton. That would be it. That would be it. Was that one right there? And then also, and I think what really got me into conscious rap, like real lyrical, is Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One. Had a song called "Love's Gonna Get You." This is back when you actually learned lessons from hip hop songs. "Love's Gonna Get You" taught you that the overlove of material things can have you headed down the wrong path, the path to destruction, essentially. MC Light's Poor Georgie taught you that no matter how good of a person you may be or how much of an impact, nobody's promised tomorrow. Go listen to the song. It's actually a pretty interesting, has a tragic ending, but it's my favorite MC Light song.
So,
but,
when growing up in Illinois and growing up around Chicago rap, that was always there was a lot of Kanye fans, right? Tons of people love Kanye West. I was always the Twista kid. I like Twista more. That was my guy. But I love Kanye too. Those first 3 albums, like I talk about, I love those albums. They're timeless to me. But Twista was my guy, so I would throw Twista up there too. But we're talking about first being introduced, and Speaker Box was the first one. I remember getting it for Christmas, remember listening to it every single day. Then I really started listening to their older stuff at the time, and I was just like, okay, ATL, and so that's my favorite, Outkast album of all time. But Speaker Box is what got me into Outkast. So.
Okay. Well, you with the Chicago artists, so I ask you, JT, rank these 3 Philly artists: Beans, Cassidy, Meek Mill.
Meek Mill's last for me.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really think Meek Mill is that good. I think that people just
got
like
Diddy
his style.
too, but oh God,
he's a very aggressive dude.
He gets off on delivery, yeah.
He just says his actual lyrics are not that good, but the way he sounds makes it sound better.
Yeah, he gets off on delivery.
If that makes any sense. But I don't personally think he's that good, though.
Okay.
So I'll definitely have him third. And I would put Cassidy number 1.
Whoa!
I agree.
I'm not mad at that at all. Reason?
I think he's just extremely well-rounded.
Okay.
So,
I think he's just point blank the best one of the 3.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll put number 1.
No, I would agree with that because Cassidy was one of the
I know, Bacon. I just said that too.
Probably the first Eminem to successfully transcend from battle rap to mainstream rap and be successful at both. Oh yeah. Yeah. Pastor Ingram is going to have a talk with you after the show in his chamber.
That's right. We got communion coming up. We're going to have a talk. We're going to have a confessions with Pastor Ingram, Bacon. So,
man, that's all I had, JT.
There's a video of LeBron James when
Pastor Ingram after he just talked about Yandex for 20 minutes.
He was on somebody's podcast or a Instagram live video, and he was like, "Yeah, there's no party like a Diddy party."
Oh God!
You got to tell him no.
They showed Sweat getting drafted last year on TikTok, because of the NFL draft going on. So they showed Sweat when he was drafted, and you see this guy they had R. Kelly music playing, and they muted the video, so it was R. Kelly music playing, and you see guys grabbing onto him from behind and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is the guy that said he was can't lose to the Packers, huh? All right.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, fellas.
That's it.
I think that's it, guys. So thanks for another great show. Had a lot of fun tonight, everybody. Grizz, thanks for tuning in too.
And also, Grizz, I'm gonna say this one more time. You're more than welcome to hop on whenever you'd like, brother. And same with Cowboy too. I know Cowboy's not here tonight, but I know Dom said last week, don't be a puss or something like that, you don't have to listen. You don't have to listen to Dom. Everyone's
Don't
good
take
That's how
people.
Dom's
here.
going to come at you. That's just how Dom's going to come at you.
Everyone's good people here, and we'd love to have you guys on. So you and Cowboy, the door's always open. So.
Yeah, definitely. Doors always. That. But you know, he's been tuning in to the show for years. We know.
Yeah.
That's Dom. That's Dom's way of saying I love you. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
Facts on that. That is the way he says.
He has a weird way of expressing love, but yes.
Yeah. He usually tells me "F my team," and I really know that means like he misses me. So
No, the thing that I love about Dom is like he'll say something about your team and like how your team is trash or something, and then you'll fire back and tell him that his team's trash, and then he'll agree with you. So it's like you can tell Dom anything about Detroit, but he'll be sure to tell you that nobody hates Detroit more than he does.
Yeah, Dom has this sneaky way of like. Dom has this sneaky way of when you go, hey, my team's going to beat your team this week. And he was like, well, they're supposed to. We're the laughing stock. We've sucked forever. It's been years. I haven't seen my team win. And when really it's like, Dom, you guys are 7-point favorites. Like, come on, chill out.
Yeah. Like, y'all got this one.
Yeah, chill out, dude. Come on.
Well, we do have to say one thing. We don't have no idea what would happen to Dom if the Lions won the Super Bowl last year. So,
oh god,
we made it to the NFC Championship. So, we'll never
would he
know
even be alive?
What chaos would have took place.
Would he even be alive? Like, and I mean that. Like, would Dom? We all might be going to a funeral if that happens.
Yeah. So hopefully the Lions don't win the Super Bowl next year.
I'll do the eulogy. Okay.
Yeah.
What's up, brother? Or whatever that sketch kid says.
Yeah. Whatever that. Yeah. But yeah, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.